Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Ableton Music Producer Podcast. This is your host, Dan Giffen. I just wanted to give a big shout out to everybody out there who's just busting out super hot tracks right now with the extra time that we have been given. I am super stoked to see all the new music that really comes out of this. This is just a weird time to be alive. Honestly, we've got more time than we've ever had, so go make some bangers, work on your craft, keep learning new things. Maybe it's going deeper into mixing and trying to figure out what LUFS stands for. And if you don't know that, there's some homework. Go figure out what LUFs are. You know, this is a good time just to become a student of all things and learn and grow. And, you know, Netflix is fun with the Tiger King, but, you know, there's other things in life we've got to do and press on to if we want to achieve our dreams. So anyway, if anybody wants help on your own projects, I am giving away 1 month for 50% off of the membership, and just use the discount code PODCAST. That's podcast, liveproducersonline.com. You can access all my Ableton Live courses, webinars, a lot of cool stuff, and I will help you on your projects one-on-one. 50% off for your first month. It's use the discount code podcast. I would love to hang with you guys and see what kind of stuff you're making. But today's episode is about Circa from Intrapreneur. I have been a big fan of this guy for a while. Super cool, super nice guy. He has a podcast called The Creative Juice, and it's one of the juiciest, best podcasts I subscribe to. Check that out. He's a marketing wizard of all sorts. He runs the company Intrapreneur, which helps independent artists market themselves and learn how to monetize and grow their fan base through social media and a lot of other different marketing type of things. So he's a brilliant guy. He's helped me personally with my project Philia and learning some tips and tricks with Facebook advertising to all kinds of stuff with merch. So I'm super stoked to have him on the podcast today. This episode was actually recorded several weeks ago before all the craziness. I'm thankful to have him on the podcast, and here is today's episode with Circa. Yeah, how are things going with Intrapreneur?
Very good. We just got done with our annual planning stuff, and we're heading into just running our plan. And so things are kind of crazy, but we're hiring a lot and shit. So just building it, this year is a big year for us. It's our 4th year. And so we're hoping to just springboard up in terms of our company size.
Yeah, totally. Tell everybody who's listening who doesn't know a little bit about what Intrapreneur is.
Okay, so Intrapreneur is basically a training and education company that I started back in 2017. I used to manage a recording studio, so I interface with a whole lot of artists. And out here in the Orlando music scene, there's a wealth of really talented artists where you wouldn't really expect that, but none of them are transcending their city because of a lack of marketing. The industry's not really in this town in a big way, or at least it wasn't, and a lot more back then. And so I started looking for ways to market these people who I had become friends with at this studio. And at the same time, because I had just come up in digital marketing at that time, and I was building my digital marketing career, and I was like, maybe this could work for musicians, or I hope that it can, because these people really need a way to make these projects get outside of our city. And so I started working directly with my friends, and it worked really well. And so, other friends started asking me, and other people, and I was like, all right, I could teach people how to do at least this part of it. So I created a training around this introductory stage campaign, and we started with one training, and now we have over a dozen trainings. We have a coaching program. We have an agency that we run with several a suite of higher profile musicians who are looking to monetize their careers. So basically it grew from kind of a necessity into this full company that teaches marketing to independent entertainers, basically.
Yeah. And it's good stuff, man. I've been following your YouTube channel. I know you guys have been ramping up efforts with that. And in addition to your own music that you're cranking out for 2020, you have a new series on YouTube. I just watched the first video yesterday. It's about doing 30 songs in 2020, trying to produce and finish them.
Yeah, it's called The Grounds, and basically to make a long story long, I was a rapper from 12 to age 22, and I just had a rap career. I produced and I rapped, and then I started discovering my singing voice like that confluence of events had me like stopping rapping, because like I was going to Full Sail University at the time. There were so many talented producers and like rappers around me that like it didn't seem like I was like shining in my city anymore. It was like more like I was fading into the background.
Yeah.
But my singing voice got me like, paid gigs, and like women wanted to talk to me, and it was just so much cooler than like a rap career.
Yeah.
And in Orlando, there's this huge live culture where like most of the amazing music is happening live, and these people don't even have records. And so I like immersed myself in that. Like I became a mostly live musician, stopped recording, stopped hitting the studio, even though for that entire period I was managing a recording studio, but I still didn't record much. And like, so I've atrophied largely as a recording artist. Whereas like I used to like live in the studio. And then I built this company, and I was like, you know what? Like I'm marketing so much other people's recorded music. It's starting to look like the pauper's son like wears no shoes kind of situation.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I not only could I cure some existential woes and angst for myself, but I could also show and prove for all of our students or potential students out there who are like, all right, if this stuff works so tight, like you're a musician, why aren't you doing it for yourself? It's like, all right, fair point. Like
That's fair.
let's get back on the horse with that. So I kind of, this is what you're looking at right now. If you're watching this on video, like I have my home office here. So I moved my office and my home into one bigger house, to just like have a bigger house without having to pay more money than like living in a 2-bedroom like apartment. Yeah.
That's
And
a good day.
yeah, and then like towards the end of last year, we started getting some like a little bit of equipment in here, a little bit of soundproofing, just so we can get like good enough recordings from right here.
Yeah.
And at the beginning of last year, I challenged myself. Like I was interested tangentially in YouTube and filmmaking, or like videography. It's not really filmmaking. And I was like, I'm gonna buy the right camera gear, and then I'm just gonna do it. January 1st, I'm doing it. I'm gonna vlog and film stuff like every day. I'm gonna edit all day, every day, and I'm gonna build a YouTube channel. That was last year. This year, it was like January 1st, we're going to start making records every Thursday and Friday from 12 to 7, and not stop for the whole year. And I'm going to try to put out 30 songs. So that's like my
super
exercise.
ambitious on top of everything else you got going on, man. Like,
yeah,
hats off to you. Like that's
Thanks,
a great
man.
goal to achieve. And like, I'm looking forward to hearing more of the content and stuff you crank out of that.
Hell yeah. Anyone who's listening, check us out on YouTube. Full Stack Creative is the name of the channel.
Yes.
And the series is called The Grounds.
The Grounds. Yeah. I watched the first episode and it was good stuff. You guys have some really sexy gear that you poured into your home studio, which is, I was just kind of like peeking. I was like, oh, there's like a Manly. That's a nice microphone. Like I saw Ableton Live also on the screen for some of those shots. Yeah. Obviously the Ableton Live Music Producer Podcast. I first met you when you spoke at the DIY Musicians Conference last year, 2019.
Yes.
And we talked but you had like 3 or 4 different breakouts.
Isn't it crazy that it's going to be a year since then soon?
Dude, it's weird. It's weird.
So nuts.
I'm looking forward to the day where time traveling is invented, because I can be twice as productive with half the effort. Like I'm banking on that technology to come out
nice.
soon. All of us.
Yeah.
Content curation is going to be a hella easier if we can.
For sure.
But no, I mean, you spoke about a couple different topics, but one of the big things was monetization through social media as an artist and making money. And you also talked about like growing your following through Facebook ads. And I kind of would like to talk and pick your brain a lot about like independent artists being able to grow their social media following and being able to monetize their fan base. Because that is the kind of your sweet spot. I mean, you talk a lot about that in a lot of different ways on the Creative Juice podcast, which I'll be plugging. I'll put all the links in the show notes for this. So everybody go check that out at some point throughout this episode or at the end. But you are a perfect example of a grassroots artist that just figured out a lot of shit on your own through trial and error. And it's working out for you. And you have this Indie Pro membership where you're like really coaching and like helping people make like their dream a reality for artists who are independents, who like actually trying to make a living doing what they love and growing their fan base in a really powerful way through social and merchandising and all this other stuff. So obviously this could be like a 12-hour podcast if we were to talk about all those things in detail. We don't have time for that, but I would love to just kind of pick your brain. So like when it comes to social media marketing, Like, what are things like I've got an Instagram page, I got a Facebook page, you say you start out, you've released several songs. Like, what are things artists should be doing right now to be quote unquote successful to grow their fan base and monetize them?
I think that like we can start off with like a kind of a dictum that might not be obvious to like a lot of people out there, but like if you value a future state for yourself that's not your current state, you should learn marketing. Like point blank, period. If you're trying to go from where you are now to somewhere different, presumably better, learn marketing. So like let's get that out of the way so that like
Right.
when I say, okay, you're a musician, you're trying to be successful, learn direct response marketing, you're not like, but I'm just a musician. No, you're a person trying to get
Yeah.
from where you are to a much more advantageous place. Learn marketing, 100%. I'm not saying learn a campaign and pull it off for yourself. I'm not saying struggle through a training. I'm saying become sick at marketing. You became like, and like, I can say this from the other end because actually, this like last year, I got an Ableton push and got Ableton, and the last time I produced before that was on Acid Music Studio. And that's what I learned on from Acid 1 and up. So I had no idea what like modern DAWs were like
Yeah, yeah.
fucking with. And I hadn't touched a session in like 6 years when I pulled that up. And I took an online course, and within a day or two, I was like sick at push compared to where I was, right? And so
Is that Andrew Wong's course? I'm just curious.
no, I did take Andrew Long's course
I
though.
saw that you did. Yeah, he was
Yeah,
on the
yeah.
podcast many episodes ago.
That's
Uh,
awesome. I'm a huge fan of
oh
Huang.
yeah,
My
Andrew's the dude. He's
my
good.
buddy Da Vinci kind of like, I think he had taken the course, or he was talking to Andrew at that time. My buddy Da Vinci is like a finger drummer, like one of the original finger drummers, really. And
That OG finger drummer.
yeah, and like it was like I'm taking it too, and I was like, all right, cool, let's do it. But yeah,
Yeah, dude.
the reason that I was able to get back in and like work with Ableton is because I wasn't afraid to look like an idiot, and I wasn't afraid to sit down with a training and like start again, and I wasn't afraid to ask my friends who knew what they were talking about. So like
Yeah,
right there, you've got willingness to learn, willingness to fail, and willingness to put yourself in a networking environment where you can source quick and specific answers.
totally.
And
Yeah,
so yeah, like when you adopt those attitudes, you can learn very, very quickly. And if you and like it doesn't matter what it is. So like when I say learn marketing, I'm not saying like change your career path. No, I'm saying like add to your career path. Sample from every set of skills and knowledge bases that you like can. So okay, so I got all that out of the way, right? Because I don't want anyone saying
no,
like
no.
this shit's complex or like this is too hard. Like
Right. I mean,
you
there's
know,
always something to learn, right? There's always a way we can
right.
grow, and the moment you stop is the moment that like you become complacent and you're just
Right.
kind of standing still. You're not moving forward or backwards. You're just kind of there.
One of the hottest comedians out right now is Andrew Schulz. And the reason that Andrew Schulz is so hot right now is because he self-publishes all his work. So he's not waiting for Netflix to give him a fucking 1 hour special. He's not waiting for this or that. He
Yeah.
puts it out on YouTube, full-length specials. He puts out clips. He has clips channels. He started a podcast with Charlemagne the God. Like he's out there and he's making it for himself. And him and his team are pretty much neck and neck. He doesn't have a manager who's like knows more about it than he does. He knows just as much as his manager. His manager's helping him. So like right there, you kind of have a model for like where we're headed. It's like if you're an entertainer, you're an independent entertainer. The people who are like forward in that field are going to be people who are smart with marketing, who know how to market themselves. So yeah, like I wanted to kind of get those things out of the way because like the answer is not, oh, here's a few tips and like your social will be
You'll be
off and running.
perfectly
Yeah.
successful.
No, like I'm like, let this moment, this podcast episode be the defining moment where you decided to activate. And you were like, all right, enough fucking around. I didn't do my homework very much in high school. Like
Yep.
now I'm gonna make up for it, right? I'm gonna prove everyone wrong.
Yeah. I went to school for digital marketing. I got my undergrad, my bachelor's in digital marketing, and I didn't learn anything about
No,
marketing
it's
until I
terrible.
entered the real world. I learned
Yeah.
nothing. My professor didn't even have a smartphone. Like
Oh
he didn't even
God.
know how to use a computer. I was like, bro, how are you teaching
Right.
digital marketing? It's like
Yeah.
now is the perfect time to be a musician, kind of going back to what you're saying and being a full-time artist because you have the world at your fingertips. You have YouTube you can learn from. You've got endless courses from all these influencers. You've got social media. You've got everything you'd ever need to become successful as an independent artist. Am I wrong? Am I wrong?
Right. That's totally true. And so, okay, so I think now, like, this is the exact place where maybe you're ready to hear like the path you should set down, which is you need to learn a specific form of marketing that's called, well, there's this all this convergence happening right now, right? So like it used to be you could be like a content marketer or a direct response marketer, and there's like very, very different things. But like what I'm calling digital direct response, there are, you ever see Facebook ads that just like have tons of words on them, and there's people with like a cell phone video and
Yeah.
they're like trying to teach you marketing? Here's the thing that you're not going to like to hear. Those people are fucking sick at it. They're so sick at it that you can't even imagine. I mean,
Yeah.
in like a year you could be way better at it than they are, but like they're not wrong, they're not crazy, they're not a scam. They're
Yeah.
not trying to fleece people for their money. They have learned something that if they can teach it to another business owner, that business owner will make significantly more money. And that's why they're out there doing it like in this weird way with all these like crazy copy and like, like the reason is because like their stuff works, man. Like
Yeah.
take a 997 friggin' $1,000 marketing course, right? It works. All these like not, like there are shysters out there, there are scam
There's
artists
a
out there.
lot of scams out there.
But
Yeah.
like what I mean is you are not at a place in your journey, probably not you specifically, but like someone listening. You're not at a place in your journey where you're going to be able to discern people who don't know what the fuck they're talking about from people who do know what they're talking about. It's going to be very difficult for you to just spot people who are trustworthy by their approach. So
Like Intrapreneur, right?
exactly, totally. You could
Yeah.
totally look at us and be like, this is a scam. Tons of people say, dude, I have ads running right now where
You have a lot
this
of
is the
ads
thing.
running. I get hit with all of them. I see
Yeah, for
all of
sure.
them, and
So,
I'm not
okay.
even
So,
mad. I'm not even. I'm
dude,
not.
I'm running these ads and tons of our former students get hit with these ads, or existing students rather, and they comment and they say, this is great. Like, do this 100%. Everyone thinks they're paid chills. Everyone thinks they're sock puppet like testimonial bots, right? I was like,
Funny.
I don't even look at these ads except when I get notified that someone commented on it. And like, if it's not someone saying I loved it, it's someone saying this is obviously bullshit. So all I
Yeah.
mean to say is that like
Yeah.
you're going to have to eliminate some cynicism probably in order to learn enough stuff to make an impact. There are people out there who aren't fucking like super hip and like listen to Eagle or whatever. Like they're not like you, man. Like people who
Yeah.
you can learn from are not always like you. And so
Right.
like
That's true.
you need to clear out those blockers of like, oh, this guy isn't going to be on the fader. It's like, yeah, that's not a good barrier for like who you should learn from.
Yeah.
So that all that said is like the only difference between us and some scam artists is we offer like much better information at a much lower
Mhm.
cost. But like our approach and how we look and how what you might be able to say to make fun of us is not different from our competitors who aren't as good. You know what I mean? So
Right.
all that said, here's how business works, right? You need a way to get people interested and invested in your company. Let's think of that as like one bucket, right? Or your brand. You're an artist, you want people's attention and you want them to be interested, but they're at the door, right? They're like looking in your windows, they're like, oh, this is like tight, right? But they
Yeah.
haven't done anything yet. They haven't signed up for anything, they haven't bought anything. They're on the outside of your brand.
Just like window shopping and
Right. You need to get people from never having heard of you to there. That's one system. Then you need a way to get people inside the door, a way for people to sign up with you for like a one-to-one communication channel. This is a way for people to maybe buy or like spend some money on your entertainment value or something. a free offer that gets people on your email list, or like
Right.
a very low barrier, like low cost item, like a bracelet or like a t-shirt that gets people on your customer list.
Yeah.
So you need that system. And then you need a final system that is basically responsible for delivering the experience to those customers and getting them to a place where they want to become repeat customers.
Yeah.
Every business has these three systems. Sometimes they're built out with more nuance, like 9 systems, but they all can be kind of comprised into these like 3 buckets. Right. So, okay.
And a lot of that final stage of getting them into that bucket has to do with like trust, right? Because
it's all trust.
Isn't that what you're trying to establish with your fan base, with your customers, so to speak?
Yeah, I mean, like, I'm not saying you should go run sketchy ads. First of all, don't take, no, of course not. Yeah. I'm saying you should be less cynical of people who run things that you consider sketchy. Yeah. You need to build, like they say in direct response marketing all the time, KLT, know, like, and trust. You need to build know, like, and trust. And if they know you and they like you and they trust you, they're willing to hear like a sales argument.
While we're still talking about like running ads, what would you say to the person that was like, I don't know if I really need to run ads. I mean, I've got an okay following, I've got friends, and like I'm starting to grow organically. What would you say to a person that was like skeptical about just starting to launch ads for Facebook, Instagram, their social channels as an artist?
I used to live in a recording studio that was also the main production studio for Ayo the producer. He's a Grammy-winning producer, right? I had tons of friends who were like getting record deals. My buddy's a manager. He's getting kids on like festivals and stuff. I'm a musician. I was doing pretty good in terms of networking. Did I have to run ads to build my business? Like, I knew tons of musicians and I had lots of like clout at the time. Did I need to run ads? No, probably not. The thing about ads though, is that they run on a schedule with a budget. So the result that you need this week, guaranteed to come in this week. If the system performed last week up to those expectations, chances are this week it's going to do the exact same thing. Now, like the other day, I got a DM from like an amazing rapper who I never in a million years thought would like be following our shit, right? Like, awesome. Super huge. And it was dope. But can I rely on that? Like, is that going to happen every day? No. It took 3 years of building and running ads for something like that to happen. Yeah. But the ads are going to run tomorrow. They're going to run today. I know that they're working. So the point of marketing is to build these 3 systems for your business in a way that's reliable and predictable. Because if you can predict the outcome of a system, then when you augment the system, when you tweak it a little bit, and there's a change, you know that that's not random. You know it's because of the tweak that you made.
Sure.
Right? But if every result in your brand and in your career comes from random phenomena, you can't attribute it back to a specific action. So you're doing every fucking thing that you can just to catch your own ass, Yeah. You're just like doing a million things at once.
Yeah. There's only enough time in the day, and we can't time travel yet. There was an podcast episode, I don't remember which one it was a while ago, but you were talking about some strategies for running ads, what that looks like. One thing you were talking about is like, don't just be that guy that like pushes a Facebook post. You have that little boost post button. You just don't hit the boost post and just hit everybody and then say something like, yo, new single out, check it out. Like, nobody gives a shit. Like,
right. Well,
so talk more about that, like, as far as like the content of once, we understand, like, ads can be really powerful, like having a set budget, driving conversions. So how do you run a good ad? Like, what copy, what does that look like? Like,
there is no way to run a good ad. Like, ads are a tool, right? It's like, how do you have a good push session? It's like, what are you trying to accomplish in that session, right? Yeah. Like, I can't really tell you that for sure, right? Like, how do I make a good beat?
Just rip audio off of YouTube and rap on it.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So like, that's like, it's a pretty loaded question. One of the first things that people get wrong in that scenario where you described it, where it's like you're doing some organic social posting, right? And you're like, yo, new song out now, check it out. And then there's a Spotify link and an iTunes link and like a Deezer link and then like your YouTube link. and all these links, and no one clicks any of them. And the reason is, number one, the look at the goal of a post like that. New single out now, right? Who are you trying to talk to? You're trying to talk to your fans, right?
Yeah.
Now, probably one of the least reliable ways to reach out to your fans is to huck a social post out into the ether, right?
Yeah.
Reach is not absolute. It's not guaranteed that they're all going to see it. They're busy. They have shit going on. It's not only one touch, like it's one attempt at a touch, so it's never going to yield much. There's a lot of people who are doing that kind of stuff actually want more fans. You're not going to get more fans from your limited reach of your limited, social following from one post. Like that's never going to happen. Furthermore, you're just littering in people's newsfeed. Like no one cares.
Right.
Like the people who care already know it's out. I'll put it that way. They already know. They've been anticipating it. The people who are actually going to click a link like that probably already know. And that's why a lot of music industry advertising sucks, because it's like, at the CD Baby conference, I had like the day before I looked up ads that were running for Lil Pump, because I know he probably has some gigantic music industry digital marketing firm that like doesn't know their head from their ass.
Yeah,
and
I remember that you did some examples,
right? And so the ad said Pookie remix out now, and it's like, all right, this is an ad. They're spending money to reach people. Might be people okay, two types of people. You know who Lil Pump is and you love his music. You know who Lil Pump is and you hate his music, or you've never heard of Lil Pump. Now, if you love his music, you already know the Pookie remix is out. This ad is useless. If you hate his music, this ad isn't going to convert you. It's useless. And if you don't know who he is, they're guaranteed to alienate you. They've given you no contextual information as to why you should give a fuck that the Pookie remix is out now. Like, who cares?
Yeah.
So yeah, like that's a major problem that people have with their ads. So really, if you want to run good ads, consider the following things. What is a very specific goal that you want to achieve with this ad? And it can't be like, all right, I need more fans. Like, that's not like, how many more fans? Where do you want them to come from? What stage of awareness are they in? How will you consider them to be fans? Like, how will you know when you've succeeded? So consider the specific goal, and then find a way to limit the audience of the ad to the specific people that you actually want to talk to for that goal. And then create an ad, which like the sole focus of that ad is to bring people from that stage of awareness that you identified they're in to the goal stage,
little sales funnel that we have.
Right. But it's not really a funnel, because it's like, no ad is going to, right now we have ads running that will bring someone from never having heard of us, maybe, to purchase something that's like roughly like $20 to $40, right? Now, that maybe one out of like 2,000 or one out of 3,000 people does that. Like only 2 out of every 100 who actually like click do that, right? It's like a 2% conversion rate.
Yeah.
So because I'm moving them from never having heard of us to having heard of us, to having received some free value from us, to having learned about a product of ours and being interested in it, to making the decision to buy, to actually going through the checkout process, all in one ad. That's like 8 stages or 9 stages, right?
That's a lot of touches.
The more stages that you put into, the more stages that you're supposed to traverse with your audience in a given marketing campaign, the less people are actually going to make it to the end. The more difficult it's going to be, the more costly it's going to be. And the only way to get more costly than like every stage possible is to not even select a goal for your ad, which is kind of what they did with that Pookie remix out now.
The Pookie remix. I just think the word Pookie is hilarious. I don't know.
Yeah.
No, you're right. I mean, I'm completely guilty of doing this in all the wrong ways. Like, years and years ago, before I knew all this and started following Intrapreneur and all these other things, I started teaching myself digital marketing. I would just post up an ad, just shoot it out into cyberspace, and just be like, just cross my fingers and be like, well, I hope this gets what I want, without any kind of detailed targeting, or even like you were talking about, like the cost per those conversions. Like, how many people are actually clicking the link that you want to click the link when you're running these ads? There's a lot of data-driven marketing for the win, right?
I can save like a lot of musicians a lot of time right here and just kind of say that, like, based on, and especially considering the likely audience of your podcast, you're never going to run an ad that just gets you like sales or like gets you a bunch of like streams. Probably. Like, you're not going to. So in Facebook ads, if someone watches a video that you're advertising, or if someone clicks on a link, or if someone likes your Facebook page, or if they message you, all these different actions, you can create an audience for an ad based off that action. Like, let's say 100 people watch my video to 75% of the way through. I can create an audience of 75% video viewers of that specific video. And then I can run a different ad campaign where the audience for that ad is just those 100 people. They're the only people who are going to see it. So that way, I can actually know that the people who see that second ad are in a stage of awareness that I want from them, which is they watched a shitload of my video for no reason. I ran a 3-minute video and they all watched most of it. That's not an accident. They weren't just bored, right? They liked it. So I now have a mechanism by which I can speak to just people who really aren't my fan yet, but dig what I've got going on.
Right, dude.
And
Amen to that, brother. Because like,
right.
dude, and you made a video, which actually I saw, which was part of Ari Herstand's course. He does a lot of marketing independent stuff. You had a video and part of his course where you talked about exactly how to do that step by step, creating those custom audiences. So I just have to like give you a virtual high five through the computer right now, because like literally that helped me so much, dude. And you saved me some cash, because in the long run, I wasn't just pissing in the wind of Facebook ads, and like I could actually have meaningful interactions and target the people that had engagement with my page. And that's so clutch. That's what we all need.
But like a lot of musicians will listen to Facebook ads advice. Like there's a fundamental difference between any musician out there who wants to use digital marketing and a business. And most of the people out there who are teaching digital marketing are teaching it for businesses, right?
Right.
Businesses, like let's say I'm a business, I help you get over your fear of spiders. That's what I do. I have books on the subject. I have a training course.
I would buy it.
Right. So I'm an arachnophobia expert, right? You're probably not just going to buy my arachnophobia course. You've never heard of me. You don't even know that you can get over your fear of spiders. So it behooves me to start up stage one, which is make you aware of me in such a way that you're beginning to know, like, and trust me. Remember, we talked about those 3 systems? Yeah. So I can do system 1, which is, hey, here's some free content that will help you start to get over your fear of spiders, right? And then you kind of know, like, oh, this guy actually knows a little bit about this. Then stage system 2, I need to get you to a subscriber and then to a customer. So I say, I have actually a free ebook on curing your arachnophobia that teaches you all of the different mechanisms that we use, depending on where the person is at, to help them get over their fear. There's a number of different like methods we use. And you download it, all you gotta do is give me your email address. Now I have your email address and I can follow up with you directly. We're in a different, like, emotional, intimate kind of state where like we're talking one-to-one sort of. And I can make a real sales offer there. Like I can actually tell you about my training course that is guaranteed to get you over your fear of arachnophobia, or your arachnophobia, or your money back, right? So a business can do that. Give you some free information, buy leads through ads offering this free information, and then follow up with them via email and retarget them with custom audiences and get them to buy the thing. They can do that. Musicians can't, because we're not solving your arachnophobia. We're not fixing your kitchen sink. We're not building you a dresser. We can remix
the itsy bitsy spider.
Yeah. we don't solve like very tangible problems like most business owners. Yeah. We actually have to build an audience that is like a fan of us, which means system 1 needs to be way more nuanced. How we get people to start actually looking in the window and like paying attention to us needs to be way more nuanced than a business. A business can just go out, target people who have arachnophobia, say, hey, you got arachnophobia? You're like, yes, I do. And they're like, all right, I'm going to solve it for you. And you're like,
all
sick.
Your life problems are over.
Yeah, we can't go out there and be like, you a fan of the crystal method? Well, check us out. Like, no, that no one's going to care.
Yeah, no, I mean, and you've said this a million times, but like artists are solving existential problems.
Yeah.
For like, how do you make somebody feel? You're selling a feeling, really, with your music.
Totally. An archetype. You're selling a mode of being that is archetypal. It's like a character in a movie,
Yeah, totally. Do you have any examples of like, I guess, campaigns or artists that are doing this really well?
Yeah, I want to walk you through it because let's take three. I want to explain all like these three different stages, right? Like let's say you don't have any fans whatsoever. You're like me, right? I stopped making records. I stopped marketing myself online for years and years and years, almost a decade. And now I'm kind of back at square one. I have like 700 monthly listeners on Spotify. I got like 2,000 fans on Facebook, like 1,200 followers on IG. One of those is a very famous rapper, but that doesn't matter for anything, right?
Actually, the stats you just described are exactly mine right now.
Right. All right. So let's start ground floor with us, man, right?
Yeah.
For the next year, I'm not running any ads that ask you to do anything. None of my ads, and I'm going to spend over 10 grand on ads over the next year, ask you to do anything that involves you getting off of the platform that you are on when you see the ad. Because I'm just building up an audience of people who I know dig my shit, because I need a bunch of them before I go to the next stage. So like, no asks, free content, easy ways to get that content, easy ways to follow up with what I'm doing, and the content never stops. And I'm just advertising. Now, I'm doing it in a smart way where everyone who I actually successfully reach with that advertising, I can talk to them again. I know I can, right? So that's one of the other benefits of advertising you do not get if you're already quote unquote killing it. Because anyone who's your fan on Spotify, talk to them. Go ahead. Reach out to them right now. Talk to them. Say something to them. You can't, right?
No, it's a very one-sided relationship.
So for the next year, my entire goal is to just build up the audience of people who I know, A, like my music, and B, I can reach back out to. Hopefully by the end of the year, I have something like 10, 20, 30,000 of them, right? Mm-hmm. On Spotify, on, my Facebook page, on my Instagram. That would be great.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the goal. And for anyone who's in a similar stage as you or I, that should be your goal, because you're not going to get bookings with digital marketing. You're not likely to sell products with digital marketing. And unless you have like a hit, or you have like a homie who's like big up in management and you've got a unique look and a unique sound and like you're the next go artist, it's very unlikely.
Yeah.
This is kind of your way forward. Before it was blog PR, right? Like blog PR was a huge era.
Oh yeah, totally.
The skeleton of it still like haunts these halls, right? People still talk about it. It was like, there was an era where like you could get on string yourself on the right blogs and just blow up. And it was a feasible way forward for like anybody who had good music. It's kind of gone now. And even when it was here, I spent a lot of money on blog PR.
Oh, me too, man. Totally.
Yeah, I spent like $3,000 for my buddy Dukes, and we got a lot of nice write-ups from some really big blogs, but no fans. Like we can't talk to new fans because like they're fans of that blog, not us. So that was the kind of trouble there. So like with Facebook and Instagram ads, and now with TikTok and with Snapchat ads, which are also fire, and YouTube ads, you can go out there and build a huge audience that is all retargetable, all can talk to you again. And you can do it for a cost that is so much less than any major label, even today, would have to do it. They waste so much money, but you can be smart with your dollar at an independent level, and you can spend a year or 6 months or whatever building that audience up. Now, sometimes you have something break away. Like one of our agency clients, Small Town Titans, they did our fan finder method like 2 Christmases ago. They did a cover of You're a Mean One, Mr. Grinch. And they got like 33 million views. That's and awesome. They made like 30 grand in like a month, right?
Yeah.
So like that can happen with a fan finder and like with these different like ad types where you're just building audience, but it's not likely. But it's certain that you will get somewhere with it. And okay, so that's the first stage of musician that like if you're one of that types of musicians, you should just focus on building audience that you can reach back out to right now.
Sure. Totally. So like as far as the content side of that goes, when you're running these ads to reach people, like what are some ideas or things that you've seen be successful when trying to build these custom audiences?
Our main ad type that we use to build new audience is called a fan finder. It's like a fun term that we use to describe it because it's a very specific type of video campaign. We use candid live performance type videos. So if you've got a big flashy like performance on a mountaintop and there's like a drone flying around you and shit, like don't use it because no one cares. And when people see it on their feed, they scroll by it because there's tons of stuff on our feed that's like super slick and well produced and ununique, and it just all kind of blends in and we ignore it. We don't even look at it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so instead, what we're attracted to, the things that go viral, is like stupid human tricks, or like my best friend's talented. Yeah, like basically when we stop in the feed when we're being addressed, or when from the first like millisecond of seeing the ad, we get the impression, or the post rather, let's call it a post, because ads are posts. And if you don't make them look like shitty ads, no one will feel like they're ads. So let's call it a post, right?
That's true. Yeah. Like banner, like just ad blindness, I think.
Right. This is called native advertising, what I'm talking about here, which is advertise, make your ads like the content that's native to the platform anyways. So when you think about viral videos on social, it's usually someone like, okay, let's take Walmart Yodel Kid, right? When you see a kid in a bow tie and his little jeans, his little outfit in Walmart, and it's clear that he's singing, you know it's not because you're going to be bored by it. You're either going to laugh because he's terrible, or you're either going to just be blown away. So the context of what you see in that first few seconds actually matters a lot for your presuppositions about what the video is going to be like.
Totally.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
And so that's like, you want your ad to feel like native content, like it's just on the platform, like you stumbled across it, rather than, an ad. Because in music especially, we need discovery to actually like artists. I'm much less likely to like an artist that my friend recommended to me than I am to like that same artist if I found them in a way that's separate from my social circle.
Yeah. Like
much more likely.
Feeling of like, I'm a hipster and I just found this cool thing that nobody.
Right, because you can go back to your social network and say, y'all heard of this dude? Well, I found him, he's sick. Yeah, exactly.
It's true. That's why I love my Discover Weekly Spotify playlist, because I'll find somebody and share it with my friends, and it makes me feel
right.
Good.
Now, here's an important thing to realize about that. Why does it feel cool, right? Like, do your friends give you money when you tell them about a new artist?
I wish they did.
Right. Do girls like want to date you because you found out about this new artist? Probably not, right?
All the time. No.
Right. No. There's no tangible reward for being the first one to have heard about this artist, or at least not having heard of it from someone else. But what it signals to the rest of society is that you're like a unique, dynamic individual, and it elevates your status. Now, I want everyone listening to think about, how does this event elevate the status of the person I'm trying to talk to? Because when we're out there online, and I mean this, like, I'm not just bullshitting here, I'm not just saying this to be hyperbolic. The only thing we're looking for online is an elevation of status. That is it.
That's deep, man. That's deep. But I mean, that's true. I mean, that's a real thing.
Furthermore, the only reason anyone does anything is because they suppose that it will elevate their status.
Yeah, I mean, like, you think about the term celebrity is redefined because of social media.
Totally.
I mean, you have and that little boost of dopamine you get in your brain when those little like buttons pop up, like that's addictive. Like, scientifically, that is addictive. Like, for people,
for sure.
And like, if you can, I don't know, for me personally, like, I'm trying to be really intentional about engaging and seeing people on the other side of those little like double tapped hearts on Instagram and like buttons as like real people. Because I think if you can express your authenticity through these posts and with the targeting, and you can build some kind of meaningful relationship with people, they're going to follow you to the end of the earth. Outside of just that initial like discovery stage, like once you move past that, in my experience, is being able to build that relationship ongoing.
100%. And that's why most of the highest performing ads that I've ever seen, and all of the top performing Instagram posts that I've made organically, are at the absolute character limit of the platforms that they're on. They're incredibly long, heartfelt copy,
so many times like said this to me, and what I've read is shorter is better. Make it short and sweet. Post
Okay,
quick.
those people are out to lunch, dude. I have a real bone to pick with people who say this because here's the thing. Go to YouTube to any video that you've ever put out and look at the retention graph, right? It is a downward swooping arc, right?
Yeah.
From left to right. Like 100% of people are there with you at the first second, and then it rapidly decreases to about 5 to 10% before it kind of levels off.
Yeah.
And so people will look at that graph and think, oh, everyone leaves in the first 30 seconds. You know what I got to do? I got to make videos that are only 30 seconds, which is basically like saying, fuck all these people who dig what I'm saying. Let's cater to the people who don't.
Yeah. That's true. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, that's
Shorter's
exactly
not
what
always
it's
better.
saying.
Yeah.
The reason that everyone leaves in the first 30 seconds is because they're not the right people for your video.
That's true.
And take any goal that you have, right? Any goal, job, you want to get a new job, right? How many interviews do you need before you actually get a yes? How many applications do you have to put in before you get that amount of interviews? It's always a decreasing quantity. So it makes sense you're going to get a limited amount of the reach that you have because that's the only people who are actually right for it.
No, that's true. That's a hard pill to swallow for a lot of people, in the sense of like, don't become an artist because you just want people to love you, because there's going to be a pretty good amount of people out there who don't give a shit about you, who don't care about your music, who don't even like it, don't like your content. So I think, you're right. Just finding the people that are your fans, the people that are your super fans for whatever content you're creating.
Yeah, like, I mean, okay, dude, Big Daddy Kane said, ain't no half stepping, right? That's what I want everyone to take away here, is that like, do you think that if like some hot person that you're like lusting after isn't really digging your vibe, that if you use less words and speak in a softer voice, that they're going to pay attention? No, like that's not going to cut it, chief. That ain't it,
Yeah.
So like, I contend with the notion that like shorter copy, like, not taking too much time with your videos, make everything shorter. Like you're basically losing the 5 to 10% of people who actually care to cater to the people who are going to leave, even if your video is 30 seconds or even if your post is a short, pithy blurb.
No, this is real talk right here. I love this. This is the raw truth, ladies and gentlemen. So what is next for you as an artist and entrepreneur for 2020?
For sure. So Intrapreneur is, I mean, it's growing like faster than I ever kind of really thought it would. And so we've got like a lot of new team members, and we're kind of expanding our training set. So right now we have like a dozen trainings, but over the next year, we're trying to add like another 10 to that stack.
Mm-hmm.
And then we also have like a brand new coaching program that's being run by some other members of my team. And it's like really cool because people who are coming out of it like are saying like, oh, I get it now. Like I get all these crazy like analogies that you guys keep making, like it all clicks. Yeah. And they're like, I know Kung Fu, So like that's been really rewarding. And then our IndieX agency, like we're working with artists where, oh yeah, man, I never really circle back to this, but like there are 2 other stages of artistry that you may want to consider like your marketing journey in. If we have time, I can circle back to that. But we're working with a lot of like higher level people, which is really cool. People who already have large audiences and want to use digital to monetize those audiences, which is, a lot of fun. And yeah, like
money every once in a while.
For sure. Yeah. And then we're like getting into live events and stuff. So like, I probably started a lot of threads that I didn't tie up in this podcast. And I promise you, if you go check out our podcast, or you go check out our YouTube videos, like it will click, it will tie up. Yeah. And they're like these things like can make sense to you in a way that really makes an impact on your life,
Totally. Well, I think in all reality, if we wanted to talk about successful digital marketing campaigns for artists, we would be here for another like 12 months.
Yeah, for sure.
Talking about a lot of things, so many tips and strategies. But I can completely attest to everybody listening. your stuff is good. Like, you have some really valuable stuff to share. I know that just from watching videos on the back end in your courses and just knowing the content you pump out for free for a lot of people. I love your email list and what you guys are doing over there. And yeah, totally. I'm excited to see more of what you guys are doing and helping artists, and a lot of different tips and strategies with marketing. I think it's like you said earlier, if you want to be a successful artist in today's industry, you're going to have to learn some kind of marketing, like however deep that goes for you. But I mean, it's a skill that's necessary as a content creator, as somebody who's building a following.
Yeah. So the places that you can kind of find us and kind of get into our world, like, you don't really have to like buy any trainings from us or become one of our members to learn like a shitload. And I started learning digital marketing with a podcast, like a free podcast. So I totally encourage anyone listening to do the same with us.
Mm-hmm.
You can not pay us a dime for years and like learn a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Or, if you want a shortcut, you can jump into one of our trainings, but it's totally not necessary to really start to get a grasp over what you need to do to build your music career from where it's currently at.
Yeah. And I love your podcast. It's great. The Creative Juice, in case anybody's wondering. We'll include a link in the show notes here for everybody to check that out.
And lastly, to just kind of say, like, I know I had started off with saying that let's take 3 different use cases of musician. We didn't have time for that, but like, my use case, which is just starting out. For musicians who are already really big, digital helps them because they really don't know how to sell stuff to their audience who wants to buy things from them. Like, labels have like 100,000 person email lists for these artists, million person email lists for these artists. These artists are directly targetable in Facebook ads, and they don't make offers to those audience members. They don't do like conversion tracking. They don't track like the effect of certain messages and how many people go to their sales pages and all that. So like, once you have an audience, digital helps you monetize that. And you do that by giving people a way to make a meaningful purchase and by following up with them and communicating directly with them, which is why all your way building up to big artists, big fan base, you want to maintain the ability to contact your audience. If you can do that, then like it can be a very lucrative enterprise to be an entertainer. And if you don't, it's like, it's all luck. It's, did you happen to be able to reach out to your audience?
Yeah. Email is a really powerful way to channel that audience too, right?
You get $40 for every $1 spent on email.
$40 back for every $1 you spend on average for email marketing.
Yeah.
That's great. No, dude, I appreciate you spending your time out here just sharing a wealth of marketing knowledge. I love what you guys are doing. Keep crushing it out there in the studio in Orlando. And yeah, man, like hopefully we'll be sending some more Intrapreneurs your way. And so unfortunately, Circa's audio ended up taking a poop and it just completely died. We ended up finishing the rest of the conversation later, but just want to say thanks, guys. Stay happy and healthy. Go make some awesome music. Also, don't forget, you can get 1 month off of my Ableton Live training membership, liveproducersonline.com. If you use the discount code podcast, that'll give you the first month half off, just as a thank you for listening to the podcast and for everything that's going on. It's good to save a little bit of money right now. So use discount code podcast, save yourself 50%, liveproducersonline.com, click the join button. Thanks for listening to the podcast, and I will see you guys next time.